Hey everybody, it's Big E. Welcome back to Big E's YouTube channel. And it's freezing cold out today. Feels like I'm in the Wizard of Oz. Like any minute I'll have flying monkeys and probably a house land on me. It's so cold, but as usual, you can tell, working on the shithawk today, C4. Hopefully the last chapter of this suspension rebuild. You saw the earlier videos, we rebuilt the front end. Seems like that's holding up good. Now I did rebuild already, put new bushings and new shocks on the left rear, just so that way I knew what I was up against before I went ahead and made a video. So, not saying I know everything, but at least I have a clue of the disaster that I'm about to embark on. So it feels like it's going to be a Philippians 4:13 kind of project here. Anyway, before I get knee deep in it, I got to give a shout out to the Pocono Area Corvette Club. Rich, you know what? I'm not even going to try saying his last name because I'm too retarded to figure out how to say it right. And I don't want to embarrass him and I don't want to disrespect his family. So, Rich, if you're watching, appreciate his support. He's a new subscriber. Subscribe to the channel. So I know he has some interest here. So hopefully I can do this video and do them proud. And hopefully you guys can learn something. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump right. I've been already working on it. As you can see, let me get this camera here. Trying to see if I can, how I can do this. So we got the brake rotor off. And we got the caliper is off. So what you're going to need to do that is, you know, I really need like a real camera. What you're going to need is it's two 15mm bolts that hold the brake caliper onto the mounting bracket. Okay, and then once you get the brake caliper off, obviously the brake pads are going to fall out, or they're actually held within the bracket, so you have to slide those off. There's two 18mm bolts that hold the bracket onto the actual rear housing. So you're going to need to get those off so you can get the rotor off. I know it sounds like a bit much, but you got this bolt right here, okay? We're actually going to cut it, because that thing is so rusted in there. And I already have a grade 8 bolt to replace it. We're going to cut that and knock this out. The only way you're going to access it, and you have to take this shield loose. The dust shield has three 10mm bolts on the back side. One at, it's going to be, if you're looking from the front, it's going to be 11 o'clock, about 8 o'clock, and about 4 o'clock is where they're going to be located. There's three of them. If you're looking into the car, that's where those bolts are located, but they're on the back side, so just look around, you'll see them. So anyway, what we got here now is we're gonna go ahead. I don't think we're gonna get it done in one shot here. We're running out of daylight, we're running out of time. So like I said, this is all apart here. So the next thing we're gonna do is very carefully, now the emergency brake cable is loose, I'm gonna try and that out of the way. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the shock. Okay, so you're going to need a, let me think here, I want to say 19mm, which is the same thing as 3/4 inch combination wrench here, and on the back side I believe is 18mm bolt head that you can use to loosen this up. Now I already loosened it up, I cheated, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take that off, and I have to watch because the fuel lines are right there as well. Now, what I'm going to do, since I have the jack here holding up in there, and I also have a jack stand underneath the rear. So obviously the jack stands for safety, because you obviously don't want the car falling down on you. The jack I have on the body, because sometimes what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put weight on and off the suspension to get the components out. So with the jack stand basically holding the rear kind of in place, with the jack, we're going to jack the body of the car up and down, raise and lower, and move the weight around to the car so that way we can get the suspension components off so we can work at them, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. But ultimately, the jack stand under the rear is for safety. When we take these control arms, trailing arms, whatever term you want to use, when we take these off, this rear is going to move, okay? So you want to make sure you have a jack stand to be safe. And only do one at a time. Don't take both control arms off. The rear is going to move around so much, you'll probably have a heck of a time getting it back in. So we're going to do one at a time. So I think for this video, we're going to cover the top one. We're going to cover the shock removal. We're going to cover removing the top one. And we're going to do possibly actually removing the old bushings and installing the new ones. And then we might do a part 2 where we do the lower and final assembly and assembly of the new shock. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove the lower shock here, and we're also going to take some weight. Actually, that's the wrong thing to do because I see the bolt moving up. So what we want to do is set the car actually right there. That looks neutral. So that being said, you see the shock moving, hopefully. Actually, a little bit up, maybe. Nope. You have to play around. Watch what the bolt does. You're going to see it go neutral. And then you'll be able to pull the bolt out. So that's kind of like, I'm sure there's a technical term for it. I call it neutral, but there's no weight on it. So therefore, you're able to pull the bolt out. So that's why you want to have that shock there. So you can move the weight of the car around to where you need it so you can get these components loose. Now, the lower shock mount, you're going to need an 18 millimeter on the back side, 22 millimeter on the front side. Now, and through the magic of power tools, I have an impact here. So that made pretty short work of that, which is a good thing. I put 8 hours in today. I don't want to work any harder than I have to. So here's our shock. As you can see, the way this thing looks, if it looks that bad, chances are it's not performing like you expect your Corvette to. So we have some oxidation. We're going to reuse that piece of hardware. Well, I'm going to cover that when we put the new shock on. I'm going to show you how we clean it up. I'm going to show you what kind of lubricant to put on there. And I'm going to give you a trick on how to reinstall your shock, because on these C4s, the lower shock mount is on an angle. I want to get my hand the right way. It's not a straight-on mount, so I'll show you the trick. I didn't do it on the other side and ended up really... I finally figured out how to do it easier because I made a mistake on the other one. But I got it to work. I was able to fix it. It's all good. Nothing. I didn't break nothing, but it's just made it easier. So we're going to take this. See the rest? We're just going to take that to throw that the hell out of here because that's obviously garbage. Now, our next step is going to be, if you can see, let me raise the camera here a little bit for you. You see this bolt here, okay? That's, I can guarantee that's a 15/16 wrench that goes on there. I'm not going to get that loose. I can guarantee that. I'd be willing to bet a paycheck on that. So what we're going to do instead is we got our circular wrench. If you can't get it off with a regular wrench, you can always go get the circular wrench. So, that being said, we're going to back up here a little bit. Have my safety glasses on. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut the head, but you want to be careful. You don't want to cut into the housing too much because you don't want to mess up the integrity of it. You just want to cut at the bolt head. So we're just going to go ahead here and we're going to slice away at this. So that wasn't too bad. We did get a little bit in there, but that's okay. We can clean that up. I don't know if you guys can see that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take my safety glasses off because obviously I don't need them at this point. I don't know if you can see there. I'm going to try and move the camera close. Can you see like a circle there? You're going to see like a shiny outer ring of aluminum. Okay, so that's the actual housing. And then you see like a circle and like a darker aluminum. The darker aluminum in the middle, or that whatever that steel possibly hardened, is the bolt. So what you want to do is take a punch, and I use a 5-pound sledgehammer. You want to get on that center part, okay? Because you bang on the outer one, A, it's not going to get the bolt out, B, you're going to press the ear off. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to try and set this camera up. This thing might take more hits than the Beatles to get it out of here. But let's see what we can do here. Now, you got pieces flying. Hang on to that washer. That's going to go on the back side. In between. Now we have this also as well. There's your bolt. And there was... Even if this was coming apart, that looks sketchy to me. I mean, it doesn't look like the kind of bolt that I want to have on my car if I want to throw it into a corner and pull over a G. It ain't going to happen. Now, that being said, that's the ugly part. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to need a 19, is it? No, we need 18 millimeter, which I have here for... I love it when stuff doesn't cooperate, like this car cover. Okay, so let me turn the camera here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get the front ones loose. So this is an 18 millimeter on the front side. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, we have a, might be 19 millimeter on the back side. I'm not 100% sure. But now the 19, it's going to make a liar out of me just because I'm here making a video. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to see if we can get that front one loose. Sometimes you don't need to back up the nut on the back side. It sometimes holds itself because of rust, etc., etc. Remember, these cars, it's a 35-year-old car. So, I'm going to go ahead, put that there. Now, let me see what it's against. So we have some success. Now we have the nut and the bolt luckily intact. So we'll put that with the pile. Hang on a minute, I'm having a little technical difficulty here. I just realized I like to put the bolts, nuts and bolts, what they go with, and there's a nut and bolt laying here. And I get off track, and I just remembered it goes to the upper shock. So I put that in there so I don't lose it, or I don't forget. Not that I have extra pieces and wonder why the car just fell apart. So now, as you can see, they're ugly. Look how dry rotted they are. There's no way you're doing any cornering with that. So, that's gonna, I think, be it today, unless I grind that smooth on the rear end housing. But I think that's going to be it for the outside work. I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab this dog bone. I'm going to make some comments about this, some tips, tricks, whatever. and we're going to take this thing apart. We're going to get the new bushings in. So I'm going to pause here, and when I fire up, we should be back in there. Alright, it's Biggie, I'm back again. Sorry about the angle, but we're here at the workbench. So we got the dog bone trailing arm here. I don't know how well you guys can see. I thought it was going to be better than this. I'm going to take this out and show you something. So, what you're going to do, first thing you're going to notice is two different sizes. This is a 12 millimeter by 175 bolt that goes through here. So that hole is pretty, not as big. And that's the one at the rear. That thing's huge. You've got to keep that in mind, because if you put the wrong bushing in, it could lead to an issue with that. So keep that in mind. You know, have your front. If you need, you can take, and you can just, you know, do like an F for front. You know, that way you know whatever you want to do, so you know the difference. To me, it's going to be, there's writing. There's no writing here, but there's writing here. So the writing goes to the outside, which will put this at the front and this at the rear, which is what you want. Anyway, so I don't know of a really good way to remove old bushings. So what I do, I just take a pilot bit and I drill around the circle in here. I try to stay near the center part because I don't want to gouge the actual control arm. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to hit pause, and then when I get done with that, we're going to start it back up because I don't want to waste more time. Alright, so I'm back. So here we got, I got done drilling the holes around the bushing. Hang on a minute. I want to bring those here, and I'll do that quick. Have my kids need their tablets unlocked. Here, and this one need it too.
It's already unlocked.
Oh, it is? There you go. Alright, so
have fun watching the
video. My daughter. Okay, so we drilled holes, or I drilled holes around the bushing. Yeah, it's getting a long day. Let me just show you here. I don't know if this will show up. You see how I drilled all around there. Basically what you're trying to do is collapse it on itself to try and so you have some movement. So I'm going to go in there with this flat screwdriver. I'm sure somebody has a better process for this, but just a flat screwdriver. So I'm going to just dig around at it, and because it's so old and dry rotted, it's basically falling apart. Doesn't mean it wants to cooperate though. It looks like we're getting some success. As you can see, there's chunks coming out of this thing from being so dry rotted. I mean, it's literally disintegrating as I'm poking around at it. So actually now, I could probably get away with just sticking a screwdriver in here and hitting it with a hammer. And as you see, came out. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. You know, we're gonna go ahead, drill around the circumference of the bushing, dig it out with the screwdriver, and just drive it out with a hammer. So let me do that. When I come back, I'll have both these bushing out, and we can start cleaning it up and get it ready for the new bushings. All right, Biggie back. All right, so that bushing was so bad, I drilled one hole in it, and it just basically disintegrated, so it came right out. So now we have this bare dog bone, as you can see, and this not too bad. Looks pretty good. This one, there's some corrosion and oxidation in there. So what I'm going to do, I have a stone on my drill, so I'm going to go ahead and just lightly clean that up. Alright, so we got that. A little rough, but it's decent. I can go in there and I'm going to put, when I put the bushings in, I'm going to put Vaseline in here. It acts like a lubricant to get the bushings in, but also serves as an antioxidant, anti-corrosive agent. Next, we're going to clean this up. And I know all you Corvette guys love shiny stuff. It's kind of like when you have a new girlfriend and you buy her necklaces and you buy her jewelry. Ooh, it's shiny, it's great. Same thing, we're going to shine this up. Corvette guys are going to go ape shit over this. So, what we're going to do here is we have a flat wheel, 4.5 inch 80 grit flat wheel, okay? And my grinder's still out in the driveway, so I got to take the cutting wheel off of that. I'm going to put this flat wheel on. I'm going to go ahead and polish this up, okay? And then when I come back, I'll have it polished. We're going to put the bushings in, and I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm getting tired, and I'm just freaking delirious. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back with the final installment on this video. All right, guys, back. Here we got the new piece after it's cleaned up a little bit. We knocked off some of the ridges from the original casting. I did leave this on so I know that's the outside. It's not perfect. Like I said, I didn't bother doing the backside. No one's going to see it. But at least it's better than seeing the... And I'm just going to clear it anyway. So anyway, we're going to put this way. Now, we went ahead, remember, and we took some oxidation off. So now just take your regular Vaseline, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go around the inside of those bosses, for the bushing bosses, for lack of a better term. It helps the bushing slide in, but it also, like I said earlier, with the oxidation issue, that, I mean, yeah, aluminum doesn't rust like steel, but it still oxidizes. And just, you know, you have that to deal with. So anyway, with that done, now we're going to start with, we're going to start with the front one. Okay, so part number 64116 of the Prothane, and you need 2 of them that match, because they each have 64118. Oh, I'm sorry, 8. 64118 and 64118. So there's your front assembly. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to make that in like that so it sticks. Turn it sideways in the vise. And we're going to use the vise as a press. And just Press that in. And now that those are pre-lubed, it even slides in better. So that's the one half. We'll do the other half. Just so that they stick, so you can put it in the vise. Run the vise in. Be careful that if it goes off center too much, you might have to reposition it. For whatever reason, there it goes. It had to straighten itself out. It went crooked, but then it straightened. So make sure it's tight. Now, next thing we want to do, there's two size bosses. Obviously, that's the big one for the rear. You want a smaller pin for the front. So, again, we're going to use our Vaseline. We're going to put some in there for some lubricant so that thing slides in there rather easily. So just go ahead with your, and just about, see if you can get it to start. Of course, this one's giving me a hard time. There. So I got it started. So we're going to go ahead and use our vise again. And as you're pressing that with the vise, it went straight. You want to watch that. Make sure it goes straight. And make sure it goes all the way in. Give it a little squeeze. We'll go ahead and wipe it off. And there's your front bushing. New hardware, new bushing, Prothane, high performance stuff. Now, we're going to do the rear. What mounts on the rear housing. So let's set this up. Again, was this 64119? 64119 is the part number. Get this started. Open up the vise. Try and get it centered. Press into one side. Take the other side. Even if you don't get it straight, it'll straighten itself out when you press it. You just want it to hold so it doesn't fall out when you put it in the vise. So we'll go ahead. We'll press that half in. Again, we'll take our Vaseline. We'll put some in there. A little lubricant. Get that started. And we'll go ahead. Same thing, we'll wipe that off. The only thing I'm going to do, and I'll probably clear this once it's on the car, but there you go. There's your rebuilt control arm. All polished up and pretty. So, that's the upper control arm. And some how to disassemble the rear suspension. Next video, we're going to do the lower control arm. We're going to do the shock. We're going to replace the shock in the hardware. I'm going to show you that trick to reinstall it so you don't rip your hair out. And hopefully get it all back together. And hopefully I may do then. I don't know if it'll be that video, but maybe the following video we'll put the wheels back on and we'll set the thing on the ground and we'll see how she sits. And we may even do, depending what the weather is, we might get the GoPro out and do some live action driving with the thing. See how much better it handles. So anyway, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not sure what. Oh, that's what it was. I forgot to mention, earlier, I said about the Corvette Club, the Pocono Area Corvette Club. They're having a car show, I believe. I think it's May. I want to say May 23rd, Spring Bash, something. I got to get a website, got to get information. I don't even know what's at. I forgot. Apparently, I dozed off during the meeting, so I don't know for sure where this Corvette show is. It's like I said, you can, if you want to come out and just be there, and just check it out. I'm sure Rich is going to probably yell at me in the comments because I don't know where the location is, where the car show is. But if he yells at me, then that way I know, and then you guys look in the comments, and then you'll know. Because apparently I forget stuff or I doze off. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Basically, it's cold. It's getting dark. My nose is running, and I've been up since about 4 o'clock this morning. So I'm pretty beat. So, like I said, that's basically your upper control arm. And I have, like I said, new hardware to put that on. And that thing's ready to put back on the car and ready to rock and roll. So that's it for now. Like and subscribe. Leave anything in the comments. Like if you see me do something on here, like removing the bushings or something else, and maybe you have a better idea or a different way of doing it. Like I say, whatever you see on my channel isn't the only way of doing anything. It's just the way I figured out that works. Perhaps you know a better way. Please share in the comments. I would appreciate it. If you have any other, anything, if you have a project that you're working on and you need, some help or a little advice, check me out, ericsnyder802@gmail.com. You can hit me up there. For subject line, put project car. So that way I know it isn't spam, okay? And I think that's it for now. Anyway, so that's it for now. I hope this video helped. If anything, I hope at least was entertaining. So anyway, until next time, watch out for each other. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time right here on Biggies. Bye for now.